Gamia, one of the 3 known islands in the land of NeverMade. Today we can learn more about the other island called Videos, that is also connected to Bukos, but this one will still have to wait for its own story. And there are of course more lands unknown to me as a adventurer of those strange places. Welcome everyone to the next episode of the show NeverMade. This past week was a little harsh with me trying to complete all of my university courses. I can finally tell you that all is good and I can get back to making videos for you. But I'm not gonna talk about a video game this time, cause I couldn't find the moment for researching something interesting or playing it. I actually got a little lost in the mod of some sorts called Castlevania Revamped that changes the basic game into an actual Metroidvania, and also watched like crazy one little video that I actually would like to talk about today. Not everyone would know this, but I'm a big fan of Mike Mignola's work. His comics about a boy from hell made into a movie by Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorite series of all times. That's how I first learned of Hellboy and of a term comic book movies. Now, whatever I could find about Hellboy, I tried to purchase. I could call myself a fan of some sorts. I have almost all of the games, except this weird new one. I watched almost all of the movies except the first one because I don't think so. I don't want to. The newest one that will be released this year, I think so. I want to watch. It looks more interesting as a story. And of course, I have never read any source material comics. So yeah, a fun. But of course, Mike Mignola didn't only create Hellboy. He's a comic book artist making tons of other stories, making his own version of DC Universe, creating panels for Pinocchio, and in 2006 making one of the most interesting characters I have ever came upon. The amazing Screw-On Head. Of course, the comic was made in 2002, but the animated pilot of the series was created in 2006 for all of you that started writing comments how I'm so wrong it's painful. So what's the story about? Screw-On Head is a dark fantasy character that saves the world with his great knowledge of the evil spirits and other devilish beings that want to conquer it. The world, of course, meaning the Great America. That's one of the jokes from the pilot that heavily relies on, I think, the first chapter of the comic book. Screw-On Head also has a manservant and a variety of different enemies he has to defeat on his adventures, and some of the show themselves in the animated short like the Emperor Zombie or his love interest, Patience. I was so invested in the whole story of this character I couldn't stop but watch this episode over and over, knowing that's the only episode known to exist. And I saw that it wasn't translated to my language, so that was another thing that I was doing this past week. Now I want to talk about the story that happens in the whole episode, so spoilers are coming, people. The whole pilot revolves around letting us know the characters. The titular Screw-On Head, his servant Mr. Groin, President of the United States Abraham Lincoln, and other more or less significant cast of wrongdoers. Professor Fruen, a famous demonologist, gets kidnapped by an unknown to us yet villain. President then calls the Screw-On Head to tell him about the kidnapping, so he and Mr. Groin will go on an adventure to get him back. But first they have to go to Marrakesh. Why they have to go to Marrakesh? Thank you, dear viewer, for asking. Because they have to learn a few things from the informator that happens to be a mummy. There we meet not only the informator, but a long-lost love interest of the Screw-On Head, Patience, the only woman that made his mechanical heart beat, only to be kidnapped by Emperor Zombie and turned into a vampire. Professor Fruen was also kidnapped by Emperor Zombie. He is the main villain of the whole story. Also a former manservant of the Screw-On Head before an accident that changed him into the horrifying monster he is now. So the professor gets smoked so Zombie can learn all about the lost demigod or something that can help him rule the world. And Screw-On Head and Mr. Groin try to stop him. Yet they are a little too late, because Zombie opens the portal to another dimension and a demigod gets out and starts making havoc. Screwhead in Mr. Grunt Saves the Day, learn about the power of friendship, and help the president make America great. That's just a fast summary of the whole pilot because it has more and more and more little things to it that I just don't want to spoil for you. If you want to watch it even after all of this, please do. At least try watching it for the jokes. They are fantastic. The whole aesthetic of the animation, making it look like a page of the comic book, is an amazing choice style. Again, the jokes. People who worked on the script for this really did their homework. With what I could gather about the comic it is based on, the humor fit in perfectly with the voice acting and only 6 people worked on voicing all of the characters. That's pretty impressive. And voice actors, oh my god, what an amazing cast of people they hired for this project. From the talented Molly Shannon and Corey Barton to the mostly known for his real-life acting work, Paul Giamatti. After learning all of those things, I came across a DVD of the animation, which was pretty convenient, not because I can now buy it, because I don't have that kind of money, but I learned that there are behind-the-scenes footage. More and more did I learn from those new 13 minutes of talking heads from the director, producers and animators to the Mike Mignola himself. Hearing them out about making this passion project, people who worked on it wanted to make something great. They wanted to be remembered by those 22 minutes of animated glory, and they put their whole hearts into it. You can hear in every interview how those people cherish the story and those characters, how they came up with their own ideas for some segments, like Emperor Zombie's smoke scene. Mike Mignola said it himself.
That's probably my favorite line in the script when he says any last words before I spark it.
The whole smoking thing, that wasn't my idea.
So why didn't it got picked up as a series? At least one season. It could be known today as a cult classic with what was delivered in that pilot. In the BTS footage, we learned that Mignola said it himself. He doesn't know if he would create something better than this one-shot comic. Every joke and every character he made was solely for this one comic book. Then maybe the people who worked on the whole project wanted to do more. And yes, they did, but it never happened because in 2006 the internet was still a niche thing for people, and this particular comic was even more niche. Nicher. Something like that. The Sci-Fi Channel that greenlit the project put it up on their website and made a voting system for people to make sure they actually wanted this as a whole series. Yet, as I said, in 2006 not many people knew about it and even fewer knew about the comic. First Hellboy came out 2 years prior, but not many people knew about the superhero fantasy genre would pick up so much in the later years. So, is there a possibility for this to be picked up once again and start fresh as a new series? Maybe even a live action, who knows? I certainly would love to look more into this world and learn more about it, but only thing now that can help me with that is the actual comic book. Thank you for watching this episode. Everything that I talked about today can be found on YouTube, links are in the description, and remember, the land of NeverMade wants to be explored and will be, but in the meantime go watch my other episodes of this show and stay tuned for more amazing content. Thank you once again, and goodbye.